Now if you folded my other plane, then you'll know that that plane was fairly easy to fold and fly, but this plane is much harder, and it is one I invented. I call it the Flying Ace. Many people call it something else. It flies really straightforward, but the folds are fairly hard. They're not as easy as that you might think. You have to start by folding your paper into perfect thirds. Now, that might be hard to do. I tried using a ruler and got really weird measurements. That didn't work. So what I suggest to do is to make a rough measurement. Right, just make a rough crease. Now, being exact is important, so that's why I told you don't crease it completely as if you were. And it should match up quite evenly if you have good eyes. And now actually make the crease. Make a light one, not too hard. You make that crease. They should match up. If they don't match up, well, that's why I said lightly crease. So since mine match up, I can continue forward. Okay. The next step is to take your paper and fold it in half. Every plane needs to be folded in half. It's just the way it is. Planes are symmetrical. I haven't heard of a plane that's not symmetrical. Unless you're curling the wings or doing something that makes it a bit asymmetrical, but most planes are mostly symmetrical. So it should look fairly similar to this. Some people like to fold in half before they fold into thirds. That's your preference. Okay, so now unfold. And you should have something like this. Now take the top right hand or left hand corner and fold it down. Okay, so now you have a preference of which side you like to fold. Right? You might want to fold the left first and then the right. I like the left first. I'm a lefty, but I write with my right hand, so. So I fold the left first. Doesn't really matter. There's not much difference. Make sure they match up. And you should have something somewhat like this. Alright, so once you've got that, now the next step is fairly simple. Just fold it down. This step is another repeat step, is to fold it in half. Now folding it in half reinforces that fold and makes sure that it's stable, because this plane gets fairly thick at the end. Okay, so now you've got that. Now fold it downward and make sure you pull back up and make sure that it's tight. So make sure that edge is really tight, or as tight as possible. Okay, so once you've got that, now you need to make another fold. Now this one most people call the hardest fold of all. It's much harder than it appears to be. It's not as easy as it looks to beginners. But you take this and you meet it up to that third line. So when you fold it into thirds, you divide it into 3 sections. So pick one section and hold it up to there. Now hold it down. Find the bottom and make a crease where you fold it so that it just touches as if it were pointing out. So it shouldn't overlap, something like that. but it should underlap something like that. So you should make it just exactly. Make sure it aligns with the crease also. So it should be aligning with the crease at the bottom. That's a way of measuring. I really don't like planes that don't give you exact measurements. I mean, just tell you fold it like this and fold it like that. Now it's okay if it overlaps just a little bit. In fact, I advise you to fold it over just an itty bit, very little. Now I'm gonna do the same with the other side, but because that took so much time, I'm gonna just speed up here. Now just sped up, and it should look somewhat like this. Some people tell me it looks like a Darth Vader hat. Not really sure. So here is the other side. And now it's really starting to take shape, but there's still one more step. So basically, now you have to do the same thing and fold it in half once again. So meet this line up with that top edge. And now the plane has successfully taken shape. These parts might be bumped up a little, sort of. But that's okay, it doesn't really matter. It kind of even makes the plane fly better. Now make sure you don't have ripped or teared paper when flying paper airplanes. Don't fly it on humid days, and make sure that the paper, you know where the most ink is. This is a blank sheet of paper, which is not perfect, but if you have inked paper or paper that has been printed on, you have to figure out which side is heavier and then make that the tail. Some people like to make it the nose and make it nose dive. I like to keep it up in the air as long as possible. Now, credit for this plane really goes to a bunch of ideas. This idea of this shape came from the Champ, which is the plane that the world record man flew it for 27.9 seconds. Although this can't beat it and my other plane can't beat it, it just flies pretty well. It's fun. Okay, so I'll fold it in half. Now remember I said reinforce that fold. This is why. Okay, now fold down at the thirds, but don't really make a hard crease because that's not how big your wing is. If your wing were this big, then it wouldn't fly, and it would be too small, and the body would be too heavy, and it wouldn't be able to lift off. Now go below that by 1 centimeter approximately. Or half a centimeter, in fact, not even 1. About a half a centimeter. Just a half a centimeter will be fine. Alright, now I'm gonna go speed up here. Now it should be somewhat like this. Now push up on that third fold, and it should make sort of a Y shape at the back. It should be even also. If it's uneven, then you should fix it. Mine is a bit uneven, so I have to fix it, but I'll fix that later this video. And so that's how you fold the Flying Ace. You don't need any fins, tails, nothing like that on this plane. Neither do you need on other planes. So I'll have to work on my flights. So that's how to fold the Flying Ace.